Namaskar and welcome to Prasar Bharati. On the occasion of Youth Day, which is celebration of one of the greatest youth icons of all times, Swami Vivekanand. We hear stories all around about youth achieving so much at such an early age. But there is the other side which we should look forward to, like the issues they face, the challenges which they face, the hustle which they put in. During the pandemic induced lockdown, social media has seen flood of stories and posts of youth commenting on mental health issues. Many came forward and expressed their disturbing thoughts because of lockdown. We will be discussing mental health issues that today's youth face with our special guest, who is a consultant psychiatrist, Dr. Maladi Srinivasa Sastri. Namaskar, sir. I'm
Namaste.
honored to have you on board.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Talking about you, sir, you have the heart of a social worker, the head of a modern medical practitioner, and the hands of a karma yogi. Dr. Shastri's formal medical education and practice spanned across India, UK, and Singapore over the last 2 decades, where he led teams and developed services in advanced psychiatric hospitals. With his zeal to teach, he was faculty in various medical schools and taught medical students, junior doctors, and medical colleagues. Sir, you have also conducted several training programs, delivered talks, conducted workshops in international conferences, and have publications in medical journals. Sir, your values grounded in spirituality and social responsibility saw manifestation in the work such as Samskrita Bharati movement, spreading ancient Indian language in UK and Singapore, pioneering rural health clinic Arogya Raksha near Vishakhapatnam, and finally dedicating your life's energy in Soham that spreads universal ancient wisdom for the modern generation. Welcome, sir. Let us begin this session by asking a simple yet very important question. What is mental health?
Okay, thanks a lot for the kind introduction as well.
Yes, sir.
I would keep it very simple when it comes to mental health. We have three components there we need to fulfill: emotions, thoughts, and behavior. See, they're all interlinked. And when things are going smoothly in our lives, we don't really notice much of turmoil in us. The emotions are nicely flowing through, our thoughts are quite clear, and our decision making doesn't get affected much. And our behavior usually, which is a product of these two, the emotions and the thoughts, also nicely flows with it. But if you look at when somebody is ill, mentally unwell, the emotions are affected and the thoughts are disturbed in one way or the other. For instance, we call a form of the thought, how the thought is structured, that may be affected, or the flow of the thought or the content. So depending on how they are affected, various illnesses are described, and they can be described as depression or anxiety, psychosis, and so on. So in a nutshell, that's what I would like to say in simple terms. It's an interplay of our emotions, thoughts, and our behavior.
So it's all interconnected with the emotions, thought, and the behavior. Behavior essence of what do you exactly mean by the behavior?
Okay, let's look at a simple example. Let's say somebody is depressed. They are quite sad for several days at a time. They're not sleeping well. These are all part of depression, symptoms of depression. So their appetite is affected, their energy levels are low, concentration is very bad. So imagine when somebody's energy level is very low and they have a low self-esteem, they don't want to see anybody, they don't want to do anything. What do? They end up sitting in a corner of the house. They may not actually get out of their bed, they may not have a shower, they may not want to eat. So these are all behaviors.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
So that's how these are interrelated.
So moving forward, why do you think there is a stigma associated with mental health condition, despite the fact that we have entered 2021?
Okay. Well, we have definitely come a long way if we look at it. We'll only focus on the documented part of our history because perhaps in ancient times there wasn't an understanding of mental health. I wouldn't comment on it. In the documented part of our history, surely mental health was a lot more stigmatized. If you look at the Western world, where psychiatric movement actually started, modern psychiatric movement, they were asylums. People were put away from the society. They were possibly in chains and so on. The asylum concept slowly gave way to treating them for a short period and letting them go back home. And that was still hospital care, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
thereafter, we moved from hospital care to focusing more on outpatient care. So we looked at, can we actually keep patients out of hospital for as much as possible? And now we are at a phase where we have developed community psychiatry to a large extent, that we definitely want to keep patients away from hospital or in the community integrated, and only hospitalize them when it is very much necessary. Why is this important? It's important because society is very much, our societal history is very much related to how psychiatry has progressed. And advances in treatment also helped to a large extent.
Yes,
So campaigns have been taking place. A lot of campaigns have been taking place across the world quite successfully in especially United States and Europe, where destigmatization of mental health has paid a lot of good results. So now we actually see patients voluntarily coming to the doctor rather than shying away from seeking help.
yeah.
Countries like India, or we call like to bracket our countries as the developing nations. We still have a long way to go, but I think we are making progress. Having said that, mental health will always have those kind of issues when it comes to physical health. In terms of stigma, it's so easy to go to a doctor who practices physical health medicine because it is less stigmatizing. So even
Exactly.
psychiatric patients end up going to a physical health doctor rather than come to a mental health doctor. So we have a
That
long
is
way to go, but we are doing fine, I think, compared to a long time back.
so moving towards the sadness part, like we all feel sad at some point of day, or maybe we can be sad for more longer duration. How do I or someone else exactly get to know that he or she is suffering from some kind of mental health issue? Like, is there a boundary from which we can exactly analyze, and what is the right time? When is the right time to seek help?
Right. It's a good question, an important one, because I think there is something called as self-help and also professional help. And I advocate this in my workshops and webinars as well, that we are in at a time where we are living individualistic lives. We are no more dependent on, let's say, the joint family system that once existed, where everything could be absorbed within the family. So when we lead individualistic lives, we need to be aware of what is happening with my own health,
Yes,
whether
sir.
it is mental or physical. And I need to also take the responsibility to keep myself well. So that's the first thing. I call it awareness and action. And the awareness aspect, so your question is about, if I become sad, when do I know, how do I know, and when do
Exactly.
I seek help? So I'll take that as an example. I think a simple thumb rule is, whatever may be your difficulty, if you feel you have reached a point where you can't cope all by yourself, that's the time you have to seek help. So that's the bottom line. Now, if we go into the details of it, I'm anxious, more anxious than ever before, and I'm unable to control it. It's affecting my performance. I need to seek help. I am feeling sad. It's not like that sadness which comes to me once in a while. It doesn't seem like, it seems to be a little different. It is actually affecting me quite badly. I feel really troubled in my emotions and my work performance, whatever it may be, or relations, for instance.
Yes, sir.
So let it be a parameter where I tell myself, am I able to cope, or has it reached a point where it is beyond my self-help strategy? If it has reached beyond that point, I should seek help, shouldn't hesitate.
Yes, sir. But there are few things which stops us kind of from doing it, like fear of losing something, or the fear of communicating with a person who suppose heads you or is the head of the family. So you somewhere fear from this factor that what if this person gets to know that I'm facing this issue? How will this person judge me? The fear of being judged exactly is the word. How to come out from that?
That is very important point as well. See, one of the reasons why we shy away from seeking help when it comes to our own inner secrets in my mind, my mind, I hold a lot of secrets in it. Secrets in the sense only I know, everybody else doesn't need to know. So that's one of the areas to address to start with. How good am I in communicating what is
Yes.
happening within me? So, as you also rightly pointed out, if the other person is judgmental and they are actually kind of stigmatizing your problem, you would not open up to them, right?
True.
So, therefore, this is where professional help has become a necessity nowadays. When we call or speak to a professional, or actually have an appointment with a professional, be it a counselor or a psychologist or a psychiatrist, the training allows them to be non-judgmental, keep the information confidential, and have the appropriate communication skills, good listening skills, and using the right kind of terminology and so on. So surely a person wouldn't feel uncomfortable sharing their inner turmoil with a professional. But can
Yes.
this not be translated into friends and family and so on? Yes, it can be, only with a little more sensitivity and perhaps some training. There's nothing wrong in them. Each individual actually can develop those skills. But
Yes.
it is definitely an area of concern from what I see as well, because a lot of unsolicited advices tend to be given by friends and family, and I've noticed that sometimes to hinder seeking mental health, or giving absolutely the wrong information, terrifying them of the treatment consequences as well, which is
Exactly.
often blown beyond reasonable proportions.
True. So, 2020 was the year we can say of, misinformation and fake news all over there, and especially fake news about COVID and, the symptoms of COVID, the other aspects of COVID, that COVID will lead to death and everything. So, this somewhere scared a lot of people. And due to this, it was there in news that a lot of people faced mental health issues. So now how to fight with the misinformation, not exactly in terms of reading something, but how can we find good news and good news for our mind? From where can
Yeah.
we read to good news?
Yeah, and I think this it was around during the early part of lockdown. There was a national
Yes.
webinar I participated in, and the topic was coping with COVID. From my side, it was coping with COVID, and in
Mhm.
that I shared this aspect as well. Um, Even before COVID, I think we have seen an explosion of how we are relying on information bombardment. We are being bombarded. We are abusing our senses a lot. Our mind is also being used too much more than it was supposed to cope with.
Yes.
And the emotional rage that comes out of it, particularly for controversial issues, the fake news factory, for
Yes.
instance, all these are going to add on to a lot more of anxiety and apprehensions about personal safety, personal health, but also sometimes even developing those unwanted negative emotions of grudge, hatred, and all these as well. So now add it with COVID lockdown, where
Yes.
we have no choice but to sit in our rooms and houses, and the alarming epidemic proportion of especially youngsters sitting with their gadgets for hours together, you
True.
know, and that is of a major concern. If at all there is one collateral damage that we are seeing during lockdown, is how heavily dependent we have become on gadgets, and to the extent that a lot of people are addicted, spending hours sleeping very late. So
Yeah.
anyway, so that's one problem. The other problem which you have asked to for me to communicate about is the good news, or what news to look for.
Yes.
Here I will say that, for instance, Royal College of Psychiatrists in UK, they have developed all the required information, and one of the things that they have done was about keeping up to date and what news is good news. So they've recognized that it's easy to feel anxious and overwhelmed when someone constantly hears a lot of negative news. So the best thing they have advised is, do you really have to check the news all the time? Why can't you just stay away from the news or social media? So that's one of the things.
Yes.
The other thing is, I would advocate that there are two aspects to news. One is news, another is nuisance. And what is news, or what is good news? See, good news isn't necessarily only positive stories. Unfortunately, in media, we hear very less of positive stories anyway. But another problem that we often see in media nowadays is sensationalism. And sometimes, whether the facts are presented in the right way, or whether there is a biased information depending on who is reporting it, their political ideologies behind it, and whatnot. So this is one area that we have to also be concerned about. How good a news is this good news? All right. So let it be. So one thing I always advocate is, don't go looking for nuisance. Let the
Mm,
news come to you.
come to you.
It's better, isn't it? It's better for it to come to you, because it's in a way, it's so difficult for us to escape from news. Wherever
Exactly.
I go, it will come to me anyway. I don't need to look for it. So that's one of the things. And fake news, there are people who are spending a lot of time on creating fake news as well. We need to be mindful. We need to make sure that we know what it is, and how do we stay away. And one thumb rule is, if you see a fake news on WhatsApp or something like that, go check in Google whether this
Yeah, there
is
are a lot of
yeah, just check in Google, maybe from two other sources, and you would for sure know whether it is manufactured fakery or not.
So, do you also believe in this, that comparison is kind of the key to anxiety? Like, we always tend to compare us with some other person, that this person has achieved more than me, but we have been educated from the same college, or we are working at the same workplace. So, no, is comparison somewhere leading to anxiety, or it's just what I think?
Okay, anything in this world is a double-edged sword. There is always a good part to it and a bad
And
part to
that,
it. Um, if you consider it to be healthy competition, a class of 10 or a 15, and if they are all studying hard, there is a healthy competition, and it's okay to have that kind of competition. But
yes,
as you said, if you're actually not only comparing, but you're also trying to emulate the other person, and there are a lot of things that may happen in the mind of this person. They may also actually feel less worthy, that they want to prove themselves beyond their ability to somebody else, and that
true.
can cause anxiety.
Yes,
So to wanting to please their peers, the peer pressure is something very often seen among youngsters particularly. And they have to, because they have to belong to a group, they may have to do certain things to be approved. And so yes, we need to be mindful of that, but I wouldn't say that we should stay away from healthy competition. Healthy competition
yes.
has its place, but beyond that, it is definitely something an individual needs to realize, whether they are being unnaturally kind of drawn towards comparison.
Yes. So, with this, we move towards the last question. And can we discuss this in a layman's language? Like, in case someone cannot visit the health camp, health camp or is not willing to be vocal about their mental health issues. So then what can be done at individual level to tackle it? Like if I'm not ready to go to a psychologist or psychiatrist, what can I do?
You would be surprised how much information is available now at a person's hand. Everybody has a smartphone nowadays. And even before a patient comes to the clinic, they would have already read a lot about their
True.
condition or their symptoms, the treatments available. So a lot is already available out there. Um, I think, see, not everybody needs to come running to see a psychiatrist. I'm not saying that. So if you feel that you can handle your problems and you can actually kind of find your own answers, your own solutions to your own problems, please do so. That's perfectly fine. Only thing that shouldn't be done is that living in this world that talking to others will only kind of be seen to be a bad thing, or seeking help is considered to be a wrong thing. So, or a weakness,
Yes, sir.
to be considered as a weakness. No, it's not so. One fundamental point that every one of us has to remember is, in the words of Michelle Obama, for instance,
Mhm.
um, let us treat mental illness like any other physical illness. Right? We need to
Exactly.
teach that from a young kid for onwards, or from a school-going kid onwards. Everybody needs to be taught that. Otherwise, what happens is any ailment of mind is considered as a weakness, as if, did I bring it upon myself? No, I don't think so. You don't need to actually. In fact, we do say that if somebody has diabetes, just as somebody has diabetes or hypertension, you have had depression. It's an illness, right? You don't need to blame yourself for it,
Exactly.
right? So please do. So my advice to all the youngsters out there is, don't shy away from seeking help. Don't ever consider that to be a weakness. If you have a good set of friends and good family support, and you are also very good at self skills in terms of helping yourself, do all those things. That's perfectly fine. But if you feel that, at least, why don't I just get it checked with a psychologist or a psychiatrist? Why don't I just see what comes out of it? Give it a try. There is nothing wrong. It doesn't have to always end up in you being given medications. It
Exactly.
can be negotiated. You can always discuss and opt out of it if required.
Yes, sir. And also, what I would like to add is that there are some people who think that depression is somewhere related to sympathy. So, this person is saying that I have suffered from depression or I am in depression because this person wants to gain sympathy from some other person. This is also one of the reasons that people are not, very much vocal about it, that the other person will think that I need sympathy, but I don't. It's just that I
Hmm.
am depressed. So, we
Yeah,
need to accept it. We need to
very
accept
true.
this.
Very true. And I think just as others are judgmental on us, I think we should stop being judgmental on ourselves as well.
That is the first
So
thing.
yes, that's the first thing. And I also focus on this in my webinars of self-awareness, where I actually empower the person to find out who they are, and identify what are those strengths they have, what are those areas that they can, their limitations that they can work on. And
Yes,
all
sir.
this has to start with first accepting who they are, and only after that can they make any amends to their life and health. Yeah, so being judgmental can also backfire if the person is, judging themselves all the time.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for being on board, sir. It was such a fruitful discussion where you covered topics such as how to deal with anxiety, how to deal with peer pressure, and how to feed good news. And the most important thing and the most important takeaway, which we can say, is that how to accept yourself. Because the fact is that if you won't accept yourself, who else will?
Yes, very true, very true.
So, as the Youth Day is coming here, is there anything which you would like to add, any message which you would like to give to our youth?
Well, I would wish everyone a good youth day. Enjoy yourselves and express yourselves. please don't shy away from expressing yourselves. That is very important sign of staying healthy, whether it is mentally or physically. All right.
Yes.
And when
Yes.
in need, seek help. Don't shy away from it. All right.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you so much, sir. With this, we come to the end of our session with Dr. Shastri, where he covered all the topics related to mental health and busted all the myths related to it. Thank you for being on board with us, sir. Namaskar.